You're listening to Real Crime, the Movie Sleuth podcast.
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning.
Love. Oh, yes. What episode are we on?
We're on episode 116, dog.
I should always ask this before we go live or we're on the Facebook Live. Hi, Facebook land. How are you guys? And yeah, this is Real Crime number 116. A very special topic this week.
Yeah.
Very special topic.
This was Mara's idea.
Was this your idea?
Yeah.
I thought it was Trevor's idea.
No.
No, it was mine.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So this is Mara's topic, and you know what? This is going to be it's special. Let's just call it special for right now. Our extra special topic we're going to have for this week. However, business first. We got to make some money here. Chris, what do we got?
So first thing we got to mention is this episode of Real Crime, episode number 116, is sponsored by. It's sponsored by Sellerman's. Yes.
I wasn't there last week, but I was there the week before. I think I mentioned that, and wow, man, they're Scotch ale they have going right now. I mentioned that. It's fantastic. I know they still have a couple barrels of that left from the run, and if you don't go there and try that, then you just don't like beer. There's just something wrong with
Scotch flavored beer?
No, it's Scotch ale. It's a Scotch ale. It's just it's a Scotch ale, like just it's a dark ale.
Oh, I see. So it's not like a whiskey.
No,
taste.
no, just Scotch ale.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
I see what you're saying.
It's fantastic, really good. So yeah, if you haven't been to Sellerman's, you don't like beer, you don't like culture. I don't know why you're listening to this show. There's something really wrong with you. Anyways, moving along.
So, Flint Institute of Arts.
Oh God,
Awesome place.
Trevor did verify his cot is set up there now,
Yes.
so he has officially moved in.
Trevor hangs out there all day, every day,
Yeah.
every week,
He's home away from home.
on the weekend, and even on the holidays. Trevor is there.
Trevor is the Flint Institute of Arts. We were actually in Flint this past Saturday
Yeah.
to the world famous Machine Shop.
Oh, yeah.
To see Doro and Metal Church. That was quite a little party that happened there. It was pretty cool. The Flint Institute of Arts and the Machine Shop are probably the greatest institutions I think that are in Flint right now. If you haven't been to either one of those, and we're giving the Machine Shop free advertising here. Sorry about that, but yeah, place rules.
They should be one of our sponsors.
They rule. It's it bums me out, and I hate to go on a tangent about this, but the Machine Shop, as far as the clubs is concerned, it's one of the nicer places I've ever been to see bands play at. I mean, the staff there blows my mind. They're always like right on the money. They're super cool. I've never had a bad experience. Like with rock clubs, you can get some meathead people there and whatnot, and everybody there is super cool. I love going to that place to see shows, but it's an hour away though, so it's rare we get to go up there.
You said meatheads.
Meatheads. What?
Yeah, that was why we didn't go, because it's an hour away.
It's a hike.
I'm really regretful that we didn't, though. Very regretful.
My my better half is the biggest Doro fan in the entire world, so we were not missing that. And I'm a complete Metal Church nerd, so I'm not missing that. So it was a match made in heaven for us.
The name of the band is Doro.
Well, no, it's Doro Pesch. She's a German singer. She used to be originally was in a band called Warlock. She's one of the best, one of my favorite singers as far as metal's concerned.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she's just, and she's 55 years old, and she still has the energy of a teenager. Watching her play, I'm just sitting there going, my God, that's a 55-year-old woman up there.
She looks great. She sounds phenomenal. She's got one of the most unique voices in metal, like regardless of gender. She's just really unique. And
she has, I've said it on this show before, she has that. One of my trademark things I think it makes a great singer is just a little bit of a snarl in the voice.
Okay.
Everything's in pitch. She can hit any note you ask her to do, any range, but she's got that neat, just that timbre, that snarl.
You're right.
I always say like Johnny Cash, like Deaf American years, like the last part of his career where he had that really, really amazing timbre to his voice that you only get from years of hard living and cigarettes. Mm-hmm. But Doro isn't like that. She's got that all natural. She obviously has taken very good care of herself. Great place to go to, and that was a lot of fun. So there's some free money from the Machine Shop.
Cool.
The Machine Shop.
They got plenty of free ad space out of
They got
us.
tons of ad space out of us.
A lot of it. And then of course projectorscreen.com. So check their website out. They got a lot of cool stuff on there, especially if you're into home theater like I am. There's tons and tons of good stuff on there.
Scott's tip of the week also, don't use 2 ginger tea bags in your tea. You start seeing through time. I think I'm like the burn in my throat right now. It's actually pretty awesome. But wow, it's like really strong. So if I start like kind of crawling around, acting goofy, you know I'm high on ginger here for the Facebook Live people. There it is.
So just for the few people that are watching, we discussed this earlier. We are going to be trying to go profanity free on this show from here on out. Last week we got flagged by Facebook for some choice words that all of us said. Yeah. We're going to try to be tapering that back for a more childlike experience.
Childlike?
Yes.
We're going to become more childish.
Yeah. I think that's kind of hard.
Yeah, doesn't that include more profanity?
Yeah, probably does.
But now we just have to say poo-poo head and...
Yeah. Poo-poo head.
Especially with the topic we have this week, too. This is going to be brutal on us, man. All right, fine. Sorry, Facebook.
Chris Jordan nailed that one. He said, you guys are going to have a hard time.
I saw that today, and I giggled a little bit. Yeah, so sorry, Zach. We'll try to keep our act together here, and we don't want to offend you, Zach.
Yeah.
We Lord Zach. Lord Zach.
Please.
We don't want him and his almighty algorithm to be offended.
Yeah. They get offended a lot.
Yes, they
by
do.
Me. That's why I'm banned. All right. So in news this week,
yes.
Disney announced today they have plans for 3 more Star Wars movies that are going to start in 2022, I believe it is. They're taking a little bit of a break, and they have plans now to go from 2022 through 2027. There's going to be a new Star Wars movie every other year, and on the years in between, we're going to be getting an Avatar sequel every year.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Overload.
Since Disney owns everything now.
I thought they were like done with Avatar. I mean, that's been a long time since they did anything with that.
Like 7 years.
Yeah.
Been a very long time.
I forgot about that
until,
recently they started talking about it again.
They're working on Avatar 2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And with the reaction they got from the, Avatar, you'd think they would have jumped on that.
Right. I know.
James Cameron doesn't do anything quickly.
Well, but it's all quality, though.
Yeah, it is.
I prefer to just see somebody take their time with things and do something good.
I'm not a huge fan of Avatar. I like everything else James Cameron has done.
Visually, it's like, wow, but yeah, I mean, like a lot of things. I mean, it looked so amazing. I love the way that movie looks. It's a feast for the eyes. Yeah, as far as plot and storyline, it left, I'm sure, a lot on the table for people. But again, it's something for you to, really enjoy from a visual standpoint, I think. That's just me. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would say, like, "Oh, it's the greatest story ever written, Scott. You're an idiot."
Yeah.
So,
and then Star Trek Discovery this week, actually, some news came out about that actually today, that Star Trek Discovery is actually the most popular streaming show in the world.
Discovery.
Which is really kind of shocking.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked because it's Star Trek. And that's, Star Trek is powerful stuff.
I'd like to think, well, I mean, at least my thing would be that I know the purists, and I hate to get off my lawn stuff, but I imagine, what I like to think about that is that, Star Trek, is being exposed now to a whole new generation of people, guys and gals. And I like to think that's, where that big push is coming from, where those numbers may be coming from. And, and of course, I'm sure there is still the purists, the core, that just are latched onto everything that has the Star Trek brand on it, too. So, I mean, it don't surprise me all that much. At the same time, it's like, really? Star Trek? The most streams of all in the world?
It's the most popular streaming show in the world.
Good for them.
Yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud of Trek for that. I
Cool.
don't watch that show. I couldn't make it through the first episode, but
I don't.
From what I understand, it actually got really good midway through the first season.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
They changed things up because they knew it wasn't going the right way. Yeah. So they kind of, and my friend Brian actually says that you can tell midway through the first season that things were changed. Mm-hmm. From a producer aspect, they kind of reined it in a little bit.
I should give it another shot. I really want to.
I'm going to try. And then the big news yesterday, we all talked about this a little bit on Facebook. David Goyer is writing a Hellraiser reboot. Scott's silent.
Keep going.
The good thing is that Clive Barker is actually working hand in hand with them on this.
Woo!
And he's given them, full rights to do what they want with it. So hopefully it's good.
Interesting.
I hope. I really hope.
I know.
I want it to be great. Please don't hurt me.
I
care so much about those movies.
All of them. I'm a little fearful of, walking on hallowed ground. Because those first two movies are so awesome.
Well, the track record for reboots and all this stuff, as we know, there's only been a handful, I think, that really left people, at least me, and again, boy, this is like a get off my lawn show. Just the whole thing is get off my lawn. You're dealing with a when it comes to a franchise, let's just say Hellraiser, that's a perfect example. You're dealing with a group of people who grew up with that. That was part of their childhood, and it kind of formed their artistic intake as far as, what they like in movies and things like that. I know Hellraiser did that for me. It did shape my, view on certain things as far as horror is concerned and kind of set the bar for me in a lot of ways too, especially Hellraiser 2, in my opinion, was one of the most insane things I've ever seen. So I really am curious to see what they're going to do. And this talk about redoing Hellraiser has been going on now, God, for 15 years. This has been going on forever. There's been one person.
There was one that was in the works by Pascal Laugier.
And they were going to CGI Pinhead, which I was throwing my hands up going, come on, no, not going to happen, dude. No, not cool. So that's going to be interesting to see if they follow through. Now let's see if this actually gets somewhere where they actually film it and they play it in a theater for us to watch it. That'd be really cool.
I just hope it's not like a straight to video kind of thing.
Oh, God.
That's my fear.
Like Revelations, what was it? Was that the or Judgment?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Dude,
the guy that played Pinhead was great.
Great. He was fantastic.
If it had been a proper Hellraiser movie, he looks like Doug Bradley. He sounds like Doug Bradley. The makeup, he looked great in that. It was all practical effects for the most part.
Yeah.
But the movie just awful. Did you see it, Mara?
I didn't. I've only seen the first Hellraiser.
Okay.
I sat down.
You didn't see number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't, to be honest. It's just one of those things.
The practical effects were cool.
Yeah.
It very much, I hate to say it, but it very much had the Saw vibe to it, though. The way it was lit, the way, it moved. We've talked about that James Wan, trademark now of the quick shots.
Yes.
It's totally gives me nausea if I'm in a theater with it. Judgment looked like that to me. I saw so much. I remember telling Amber that. I'm like, this is like Saw with Cenobites. Kind of. It had that same feel, at least to me. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the dreaded big R on Hellraiser. Let's see what happens. All right, what else we got, Chris? I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's too painful.
The last bit of news I have this week is that it's more Star Wars news, sadly. The Mandalorian on Disney streaming service, Disney Plus, has already been renewed for season 2. Hasn't even premiered yet. And Jon Favreau has already signed on to come back for season 2. And yeah.
It tested that good.
Okay. Yeah, it's good.
I'm
all for more Star Wars. Star Wars.
More the merrier.
Yeah. All right, new releases this week. We've got Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
Which I saw last night with Matilda.
What'd you think?
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a good kids movie.
Okay.
It's a good kids movie.
All right.
So she loved it, and usually when I go see those movies, as long as it's a kids movie and the kids love it, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be too critical of that. Wes, actually, his review is live on the site. I think he gave it like a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Tolkien movie that comes out this week, which looks fairly good. I could not attend the screening for that one, sadly, because it was at like 1 p.m. And then Palms comes out.
What the hell is Palms?
Some mom movie, just in time for Mother's Day. Like the movie with all the people that are always in these movies are in this movie.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I won't see it.
Andrew's seeing that one. And then The Hustle. The Hustle comes out this week, too.
Who's in that?
I don't know.
Okay, good.
It's the one, it's kind of like, kind of a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but with females. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm down for that. I like when they change it like that, though.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
As long as it's good. As long as it's
not Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Disappointment.
Wasn't very good.
I haven't seen that. And that's it. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, suggested
viewings for this week. I really haven't watched much. I was hoping that I could suggest the Ted Bundy movie on Netflix. It was terrible.
I saw that over the weekend also.
It was painful.
Did you see it?
I didn't see it. I kind of want to. I've heard a couple things about it, so I want to make my own decision. But what did you guys both
This
think?
is the one it's called like that weird long
Extremely
Evil,
shocking, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
vile or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea, and maybe you mentioned this. Somebody I saw out on the internets.
It was me.
Was it you? Said, this movie is basically trying to like make you feel bad for this guy. And I didn't, thankfully, at the end of it. I'm like, this guy's a shithead.
The movie, when you're watching
Sorry.
it's almost like they're trying to poo-poo head. They're trying to convince you. It almost felt to me like they're trying to convince me that he's innocent and he's a good guy and that we should feel sorry for him.
He wasn't innocent.
No,
he wasn't
he was
innocent. Even Eugene pointed out, because he did the review for us last Saturday.
Yeah.
He pointed out it's the poor directorial work the guy did on it. He was in control of how this product was made.
Right.
And you're trying to convince me that a murderer and rapist of women deserves a second shot and deserves to be looked at almost like a hero.
No.
And the movie actually, I can sit through Martyrs. I can sit through a Serbian film. This, because it takes place in reality, I had a very, very hard time grasping the way he was presented. Now, the film doesn't really show much of the murders. There's only one real scene that really kind of shows one of the killings.
Yeah.
This movie basically takes place after most of it had already happened.
It's more just a trial.
And more about his trial, all that stuff. But in Zac Efron, he did a great job. He looks like him in a lot.
Yeah, that was good casting as far as appearance.
Yeah, but it just really bothered me. Altogether, it bothers me the fact they had the documentary on Bundy, and then they have this movie about Bundy.
Yeah.
And I think humanizing a murderer and trying to make us sympathize is a really, really bad way to go. And that's how I felt about this. So I'm not suggesting this movie at all. In fact, I'm doing the total opposite.
Unsuggested viewing.
Unsuggested. If you want to watch a good movie about a serial killer, watch Zodiac, because that's like the peak of good reality-based serial killer movies. So my suggested viewing for this week is probably going to be start watching Game of Thrones over from season 1, because that's what I just did.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I have never seen an episode of Game of Thrones.
Are you a vegan also?
Yes, I am.
I've never seen any episode of Game of Thrones either.
But I'm not like I'm not jumping on a parade float telling people that.
Me either. I'm not like proud of it. I just don't.
That's like the new I voted sticker.
Yes.
I think that's what that is.
Right.
But it's just that, here's the thing, and that's the problem I have is there's so much out there now. We're overloaded with media now. And we've said this before, streaming services are really great. You have all this variety, you have all these things out there that you can watch. And the problem I run into, and this is what Amber screams at me about too, like just the other night she started yelling at me about this because I'm sitting there just flicking just that sound that tick, 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 tick. You're just going from, one tile to the next. And she's like, you've spent the last half an hour watching the Netflix menu. That's your entertainment, it seems like. Would you settle on something, right?
Right.
The problem I have is just that. Game of Thrones is like, what, 300 seasons now or something? It's been going on
since
18.
Seems like
eight.
It's 8 seasons?
Wow.
Yeah.
For me to start now, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry.
They had all the seasons on sale at Best Buy for $20 a piece. So I already had season 1 and 2. I went and picked up 3, 4, 5, and 6 over the last week. And I've been watching them. I'm into season 2 now. So it's a good show. It just takes a little bit to get going. So, all right, Mara, what's yours this week?
My suggested viewing is Cobra Kai.
Oh God, I forgot that's back.
Which I just started watching, so I didn't. I think the second season is out too, but I just started the first season. I'm almost done with it, but it's really good.
It's awesome.
I didn't know what to expect. Well, Mike started watching it. And he watched the first 2 episodes, and then he was like, "You got to watch this with me. I don't know what you think of it." And we just both love it. It's very addicting. It's like 25-minute show. Quick, fun. It's just like perfect. Johnny Lawrence and Dan LaRusso. You know, Johnny Lawrence is like a loser. His life's a shambles. He decides to open up a dojo. In the same town, Danny LaRusso is a successful car dealership.
Yes.
And he's got like, you know, he uses the whole gimmick, like kick the competition, and he gives a free bonsai tree with every car it's purchased.
It's great.
And it's like,
yeah,
it's just like, it's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's also like very, like got so much like sincerity to it that's like really like the movie. A lot of the same themes, and I love it. Can't get enough of it.
I got to I watched like the first like 3 episodes they had on like the YouTube
right?
And then you had to purchase it, and I'm like, no, I'm not giving you people money, so I just kind of dropped it like a bad habit.
Yeah.
But I did it. I mean, I won't lie. I was like, well, I'm getting into this.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, and you start rooting for, you know, you're literally rooting for the bad guy now.
Yeah.
That's you know, even in those couple episodes I got into, I'm like, well, this, you know, Danny LaRusso is just this pompous car salesman now.
They flip-flopped.
They flip-flopped it, and I thought that, you know, and that's super cool. I mean, and that's like dare I say, it's kind of like another reboot, but it's like, well, we're kind of continuing the story. You know, I know it's like a reboot
more
idea.
Of a sequel.
We're bringing this thing back, right? Yeah, but we're telling we're continuing the story, and at the same time, it's kind of like, well, justice truly was served. Like Johnny, is that what his name was? You know, yeah. His whole life was his childhood. That's all he could cling on to, and it ate him up, and he didn't do anything with himself. Like, that ruined him. He couldn't do anything past that because that's all that mattered to him. That's all he was as a person, you know. And that's all I mean, I didn't watch the entire series, but it's very easy to extrapolate that as far as, you know, a character profile.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure someday I'll catch it. I'll get onto it somehow.
You got to.
And I'll watch it. But that was super cool.
It gets more into it too. I mean, and that's a great thing. You said a character profile, because that's kind of what the show is. It's a very interesting character study, because you got him and Danny, and then they both have kids of their own, and spouses and ex-spouses, and then there's this other kid who doesn't have a father figure who latches on to Johnny, and so it's. You know, and then LaRusso's daughter and her friends and their drama. It's really cool.
So you have, and this is all spawned from 2 people that we saw a story with these 2 people when they were children, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see, you know, people, you know, they've grown up.
And the main theme seems to be like bullying and how people respond to bullying and how you can stand up for yourself and stand up for your friends, and which is pretty much what Karate Kid was about to begin with. So
I think that's what that idea was, you know, seeing that movie when we, you know, I know Chris and I saw that literally in the theater. And we all wanted to get into karate after that. I was like, yeah, you know, I want to learn karate now. I was like, I want to beat up the bullies, because I think we all could identify with, know, with that. We all had that, you know, grew up around that. I know I was bullied. I'm not crying about it, but I mean, I was bullied, and it's like, well, this.
I think everybody was bullied in some shape or fashion.
But this little
Except
guy,
for the bullies.
The little guy, the little guy, you know, he won. The bully or the bully, whatever, the guy being bullied, he won. So that was quite a story. You know, and then there was part 2. Wasn't there a part 3 also?
Yeah, and then there was the next Karate Kid
with Hilary Swank.
Didn't see that.
Me either.
It had her and Clint Eastwood in it. And
I remember part 2.
And she got paralyzed.
Part 2. Really?
Wrong movie.
That was $1 million
baby.
$1 million Karate Kid.
Part 2, I remember when we were kids, when part 2 came out, and what's his name, the Cobra Kai guy, when him and Mr. Miyagi got into it in the parking lot. You know, Mr. Miyagi's just cool as a cucumber, and everybody, like my friends went to the theater and saw it, and they were all like, "Oh my God, you got to see the first scene! It's insane!" The guy just like his hands is disgusting because he pushed his, you know, he slammed his hand through, and his hand was all bloody, and it was like that was pretty nasty. It was pretty gnarly to look at when you're a little kid, you know.
That was intense. I remember seeing that too when I was a kid.
So yeah, Cobra Kai, good pick.
All right, give us one, because we're already 25 minutes in.
In the ever quest to trying to get my mental health back in order, I did it again this weekend because Amber started yelling at me. She's like, "You're going to watch a comedy and you're going to like it."
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right, fine." And she kept saying Baywatch. Oh, I'm like, look,
it's so good.
Look, I didn't watch the TV show. I thought it was ridiculous. It was I remember watching it. I'm like, I'm embarrassed. Like, this is so bad. I'm embarrassed. And I know Hasselhoff and all that stuff. I'm embarrassed. And I always am so apprehensive about seeing a movie with The Rock, with Dwayne Johnson. Mm-hmm. I'm always so apprehensive. And every time I do that, I don't know, he's got The Rock in it. The guy's a dumb wrestler. And I watch it, and I'm dying. I'm cracking up. It's
hilarious, apart. The 21 Jump Street movies.
Or like Pain and Gain. He was hilarious in Pain and Gain. And Baywatch did not disappoint. As far as just a fun hour and a half, not a big investment of time, thank goodness. Hilarious comedy. Mm-hmm. I was dying. And Amber was laughing with me. She's like, I told you were going to have fun with this thing. There's a couple of scenes that I guess we can't mention now. I was falling apart. I literally was falling off the table. Here, lift it up. Yeah, check in there really good. Check in there.
Right.
Well, okay. And he grabs the phone. I died.
It's hilarious.
I'm trying. I died. I was falling off the couch, falling off the couch.
This is better. You're trying to be polite about it.
You're
it's
trying to be coy about it.
But when he grabbed
my imagination is going wild.
But when he grabbed his phone and put it up there, I fell off the couch. I'm like, this is great. So that's my suggestion. If you haven't seen Baywatch, check it out. It was a fun watch. I mean, it's not something I'm gonna buy the special edition 40-disc Blu-ray set up and watch all the extras. But whatever. I mean, it was fun to watch. Baywatch, get it.
So Mother's Day is Sunday.
Yes, it is.
And we were kicking around ideas for this week, and Mara was like, movie moms.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about.
We never touched that one before.
Good or bad, doesn't matter. Moms in movies. So I'm going to kick this bastard off. Haha. See, I didn't really swear. I said bastard.
Is bastard in the is the B word in the algorithm?
I think that'll get through. I think, yeah.
So we got one B word, we got one S word now.
Yeah, I think that'll be okay.
I think we'll try to keep it at that. All right,
yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
What do you got?
We're at our cap. We've reached our bandwidth
Somebody
limit.
get the jar out.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we need a swear jar.
Swear jar.
Oh, a swear jar would be great right now.
Yeah.
So the first movie mom that I'm going to mention is probably the ultimate movie mom.
You say who I think it is.
Terrible mom. Mommy Dearest.
Oh.
1981.
Christina Crawford.
Faye Dunaway playing Joan Crawford.
Joan Crawford.
Joan Crawford.
Christina Crawford's the daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What a movie. I mean, the entire movie is about the emotional burnout of Joan Crawford.
Yeah.
Just being a terrible, physically and mentally abusive mom, alcohol problems, the whole deal. But this one, I mean, this movie sticks out for me.
It does. It's and it was one of those ones that was in heavy rotation, like on HBO. Big time when we were kids.
No wire hangers.
There was no way you were not able to watch that movie. And yeah, the wire hanger thing, that's stuck in. I mean, I don't know anybody who grew up in that era who don't, when they see a wire hanger, they don't kind of go and kind of and put the cross up and stuff, because for some reason, and I can see why. Let's talk about wire hangers for a second here, because it begs to be discussed. I have some wire hangers in the back of my closet, hidden away because, God forget, I don't want anybody to see them. And I've tried to use them, and they suck. They're terrible.
Yes, they are.
I can understand, and that's just for me, with my concert T-shirts. They aren't really worth that much money. I imagine if you have $1,000 blouse or whatever you have, you wouldn't want to use a wire hanger. So I have all these really expensive hangers now that was bought for me that I use for my concert T-shirts, because there's no wire hangers in my house because of this movie. I mean, really, it's all I can think
of.
The
abuse worked to you through that. Yeah. And I'm with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm a huge Joan Crawford fan, so I know quite a bit about her. But I guess the reason why she didn't like the hangers is because she grew up real poor. Her mother had all these odd jobs, and at one point she worked at a dry cleaners laundromat.
Yeah. Laundromat.
So that made her, remember those times, and she was
Yeah, everything still comes on. And the rare time I go to a laundromat to do anything, have anything cleaned, they come on wire hangers still.
Yeah.
But they're the nice wire hangers with the paper on there.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "We love you." They have the heart on there a lot of time. We love our customers.
We love you so much, we give you crappy wire hangers.
Yeah, with paper on them.
To beat your children with.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what she did in that movie. She beat that.
Yeah.
Oh, Faye Dunaway was so
She beat the HE double hockey sticks out of those kids.
That's a horror movie. in some aspects. I
It
think.
is.
Especially when that scene, I think it's that scene where she's got the face mask on and the rollers and the thing. That's like,
terrifying.
Yeah.
It's just, it sticks out to me still when I think about movie moms and ones that are always in the back of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's this one, and obviously we're going to talk about a few other ones, but this one, seriously, this movie's addicting too.
It is.
Yeah.
Because she's so good in this movie. And Diana Scarwid, who played Christina Crawford in the movie, she was great.
Yeah.
Very young, like teenage actress in this, and she was phenomenal.
And they ran for their lives. They were running for their lives all the time in that house. It seemed like it was like a war zone in that house. You could always tell the kids were always literally like just waiting for something bad to happen. They were always just kind of nervous, and the anxiety level was there. You could feel all that in the movie. Joan, her obsessiveness, like just the scenes where she broke up with the guy. I don't know all the names, but she broke up with the guy, so she demanded like her assistants helped her cut this guy's face out of all of her pictures. If you guys remember, they just sat there cutting this guy's face out of all the pictures, and her use of profanity also. I know we can't use it here anymore, but she used it in that movie.
Taming it back.
There's scenes where she just laid into it, and it's like this. It's supposed to be this. This dame, like, this, I don't know what the word is, like, this starlet, this diva, whatever. Using that language, it's like, it was a really weird juxtaposition. And that's coming from, like, having watched this movie in many, many years. But, yeah, that's a hard one to follow up, man.
Uh-huh.
It's a hard one to follow
movie.
up. It's an insanely good movie. And, yeah, that character, oh, my God, dude.
Mara. Mara.
Yeah.
I want to say one more thing about that. That was on my list too. That's based on the book written by her daughter, and not to take anything away from that girl, but I just want to point out that there's 3 other children that Joan Crawford had that say that that's not what the house was really like when they were growing up, and it's highly dramatized. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
A good movie regardless.
It is, and it's like it's tough too because it's like I personally I don't know what to believe because this girl's saying this thing and I don't want to say like, well, what, maybe you were a brat and you deserved it, like I wouldn't, but
that situation is a lot like the Kennedy assassination. We'll never know.
Yeah,
there's just no way to know.
Yeah, there isn't.
Yeah,
there isn't.
What do you got?
Serial Mom, another one with mom in the title.
Oh, yeah.
I never saw that one.
Now, yeah, I think it's Beverly Sutphin is her name. Kathleen Turner, one of the best moms, I think, in cinema history. She goes above and beyond. She loves her children so much that she literally kills for them. John Waters, obviously. Great movie. Neither of you have seen this? Okay.
Yeah. Kathleen Turner, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Kathleen Turner in the heyday of Kathleen Turner.
90s Kathleen Turner.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's just prim proper, perfect storybook family. All of a sudden, you find out she is everyone who wrongs her, she's killing. There's, the person who chews gum, the guy who doesn't wear his seatbelt, like the guy who stands up her daughter, who's Ricky Lake. She's great in it, too.
I can get behind that.
Sam Waterston's her husband. Matthew Lillard, I think that's one of his early roles as the son.
Okay.
I really like him.
Yeah, he's good in it. He plays like a horror fanatic who works at a video store. So he's kind of like he kind of figures it out because he's the one who has all the knowledge of that kind of thing.
And this was prior to Scream too, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go see that one. That's a great mom. And then, I don't want to give anything away about it, but L7's in it too, my favorite band. Oh, and last year John Waters was here for his birthday. He was here this year too. I didn't go because I was seeing the Misfits in Chicago, but last year he was here and he did a live commentary to Serial Mom.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that was really neat, and it was really sweet because he said that it was his mom's favorite movie of his, and he had had a lot of inspiration about his own mom, and he talked a lot about that, and
yeah,
that was a great experience.
And this one's got a pretty big cult following too.
Serial Mom.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
I'll have to see that.
All right, Scott.
I have a two-pronged attack here on this one. Well, in interest of time, also. So, and this was a really cool topic, I have to say, because when I started looking into this, I'm thinking, man, this is going to be kind of a challenging one. And then, of course, I started doing my research. I'm like, wow, there's a million movies I've seen that have these great mother characters. And one of my all-time favorites, is Sally Field. Now, there's two movies she did that I've seen that I especially loved. We'll start with the less obvious one, when she played Malin Eaton in Steel Magnolias. If you've seen that movie, it's one of the more, I don't even know, chick flick. It's a chick flick, right? I remember seeing it, and it's a really funny movie. And it's also a very sad movie. I actually, just for research purposes, I just kind of hit the YouTubes today and watched a couple of the key scenes in the movie, especially the scene when they're actually at the cemetery, where she just melts down finally. Her daughter dies, and all of her friends, they're all there, and her daughter dies, and she's trying to play it hard, like, I'm fine, I'm cool, and then she just melts down, right, and starts screaming and crying, and it's, to me, it's one of my, going back to it, it's one of my favorite scenes I think I've seen in a movie, because she's screaming, like, I just want to hit something. She goes through this whole thing, like, her child will never know how wonderful she was and all these things. I mean, literally within that 3 minutes, I started to choke up a little bit while I was, just sitting there on my computer. That's how good it was. And she said, I just want to hit something. I just want to hit something. And then one of the ladies grabs the other and says, hit her. Because those two are always going back and forth, right? Yeah. And you hit her, you'll do the whole world a favor. Beat the hell out of her. And the whole group, like Dolly Parton's in this movie too. They're all just like, and then like the comedy relief just kind of starts to swell up in the scene, and they all start cracking up laughing, And it's just this beautiful 3 minutes in this movie where you see Sally Field in my opinion, at her absolute finest. So if you haven't seen Steel Magnolias, it's a great movie all around. It's a wonderful comedy, and it's a heartwarming film. It's a tearjerker too. Bring some tissue. You're going to need it.
Yeah, it's sad.
And then she also played Mrs. Gump. If you haven't seen this movie, where have you been, Forrest Gump? What's there to say? I mean, that's another one. Like, damn, dude. Like, Mama, what's wrong? Well, I'm dying. I'm like, oh, you can't die. No. But, that spans her entire life with her son. And, there's, of course, the funny scenes, like, he's on vacation, and then the next scene, I gotta be careful, and all that stuff. But it's all famous stuff. Sally Field just played another in that movie again. I mean, that don't need a lot of explanation. If you haven't seen Forrest Gump, that movie's incredible, man.
That was just one of those mom roles where, she was basically willing to sacrifice anything for her son to have a great life.
And that's what the whole point was. I mean, it's comedic. Yeah, you laugh about it. You're like, oh, that's kind of brash. But
it's real.
Like, she's doing what she has to do because you're the same. You are the same, Forrest. Don't let anybody tell you any different, right? And that's what in the story that was established that she worked very hard. She knew her son was eccentric, and she worked very hard to make sure that he would have all the same opportunities any child would have, no matter what. Sally Field all around. I mean, Smokey the Bandit, for God's sake. I mean, going back to the young. I mean, she's done so much, and I don't know anybody. It's like, oh, yeah, Sally Field, what a bullshit actress. No, everybody loves Sally Field, I think. And as a mother, she's perfect. She just nailed those two roles to the wall.
There's this thing about Sally Field. She's very everyday, but she's gorgeous too.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And she just has this thing of bringing across this just nice,
there's an honesty about her. Total honesty
honest
about
characters.
Her. Yeah. Total honesty about her. She's somebody like you watch on the screen and go, I'd like to have a beer with her. I'd like to have a drink with her.
She'd want to hang out.
And she would.
She seems real.
She'd sit there and have a really awesome conversation. Like Patrick Stewart's another one of those guys. I know it's unrelated, but that's another one of those guys. I've watched everything he's ever done just about, and I just would love. I'm confident that if hey Patrick, you want to have a drink and just talk about life?
Oh yes,
he'd love to. And you'd sit
Oh,
there
that'd be
freaking
amazing.
out, you know.
That's a dream of mine.
Yeah, 15 minutes in.
15
minutes in, you wouldn't feel like you were talking to Patrick Stewart or Sally Fields. It's the same thing, right? You'd feel like you're just talking with somebody. You're hanging out with somebody. You wouldn't be starstruck anymore.
Right.
And there's that honesty about people like that. You know, whether they're acting or whether they're just people, you feel that in their work. And Sally Field, I think, is just one of them. And those two movies are just fantastic movies.
Yes, they are.
Moving along.
So my next pick is different. She's big, she's bad, and she birthed a lot of little babies that bleed acid all over the place.
Oh, you're kidding me, dude.
I'm going with the Xenomorph Queen from Aliens.
There you go.
Now you really threw a curveball into this
She is the
conversation.
mother of all mothers. I mean, she just hatched all those baby Xenos, and without her, Aliens just wouldn't exist.
Very true.
So I really can't say much about her.
Well,
because
there isn't much of a
about
character
her.
profile
No.
there. It's just,
But
that's all you get.
I'm like, let's think of a different one. Yeah, Xeno Queen.
There's certain things, you know, in Aliens, when Ripley walks into the hive to get Newt, remember when she got lost? That's a really intense scene, obviously. But one of the things that you notice if you listen close, like she walks in there and she don't know what the hell. She just sees a bunch of eggs. And then, you know, the alien queen rears her head and she breathes in. You hear like this hiss, but it's like her breathing. And I'm like, well, they breathe. You know, so I'm always trying to figure out what a xenomorph is. And if you listen, she just does this really wicked inhale. And you hear her breathing, and it's like, ugh,
well, the funny thing about the Xenomorph Queen to me is, realistically, is she really bad? Or is she just trying to have as many babies as she can have?
Yeah.
That's what a hive is.
And colonize colonize LV-426. That's all she cares
It's just
about.
like basic instinct.
Yeah, and
survival.
Once her babies start getting slaughtered, she's pissed. And that's when the whole conflict really takes off between Ripley and the Queen. So it's just kind of like the same thing with like the Rebels or the Empire. Really, which side is bad?
Well, and there's always been that discussion in the movies too. You know, you hear Ripley have those conversations with people saying, you know, I don't know who the real enemy is here. You don't see them as in pointing towards, screwing each other over left and like we do as people. They exist. I don't think a xenomorph, I mean, and we're talking total fan fiction stuff here.
Well, yeah,
But personally, you know, if you want to equate, which I think there are a lot of trait characteristics with the xenomorph as a species, where they are very much hive-like. They're much like ants and things like that have a queen, right? That, like you said, I don't know what their motivation is. I think their basic ideas that work within their minds, whatever they may be, is this hive mentality. And when they see the hive being threatened, they will defend the hive at all costs because that is their genetic makeup is simply expand the hive. And if this is going against our primary directive here, then we have to neutralize that threat. So I don't think she really, you know, we do see, you know, as a mother, we do see in that horrible resurrection.
Yeah.
We do see this bit of, they tried to mix this humanity in with the alien queen when they have like the alien human hybrid that comes out, and you see that beautiful scene where
such a beautiful,
Brad Dourif.
baby.
Brad Dourif is tripping me out.
Yeah,
As
he's
bad as
such a
that movie
creeper.
is, Brad Dourif rules. But you see like the baby, well, it's this grotesque thing, walk up to the mother in
The hybrid.
Yeah, well, the hybrid walk up to the mother, the queen, and you see this little bit of
affection,
and then he knocks her jaw off. And then move along.
Right. But so I just wanted to throw a weird one out there.
That's one hell of a.
Mara,
I never thought about that in a million years.
It's all you.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah.
All right. Gonna take the hard left from that.
That's not hard.
No. Imitation of Life, 1959, the Douglas Sirk one. I never saw the earlier one with what's her name there? Claudette Colbert.
It's one I did not see either.
Yeah. And this one's good because it's about two moms and two daughters who live together. and race is involved because it's a black mother and daughter and a white mother and daughter, and it's really good to the friendship, the relationship between the two mothers, the relationship between the two daughters, the familial unit that like they make, the four of them, and then like the relationships the daughters have with both the mothers too. It's like it's very layered. It's got a lot going on. I think the biggest theme that's like really sad in it is that the black daughter of Juanita Moore is the mother. Sarah Jane is the daughter's name. She is very light-skinned, so she is in denial about who she is and who her mom is, and is hiding from it. And the whole time, that mom just wants what's best for that girl, and she just does anything she can, and she tries to be so supportive. And she ends up running away and like becoming a showgirl, and she finds her, and she's like, I'm your mom, I'm here to see you, you're my baby and everything. And she's like, if you really love me, you'll just pretend that you're not my mom, because I can pass. I'm light-skinned. If people think you're my mom, they're going to know who I am. And if you just love me, just pretend like you don't know me. Ooh. And she does. Like, that's how much this woman like just wants what's best for her daughter, that she just goes, okay.
It's brutal.
Okay, and calls her, her friend comes in, she calls her a different name, and she goes, oh yeah, she helped raise me. She was, the maid in our house when I grew up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and she just goes along with it, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that she's treating her mom that way, and that she just,
I've never seen this movie.
It's so good. So good.
Imitation of Life.
Yeah. And then you get the other side with Lana Turner, and she's trying to be an actress, and she's kind of constantly, and not because she doesn't love her or doesn't want to be around her, but she kind of pushes away her daughter as she's growing up. She's got, she's got roles, and she's going to be in not movies. She's a stage actress, so she's constantly doing that and being like, well, now I'm going to spend time with you, but oh wait, I got a role, I have to go, and so there's that conflict with them, and it's a great
sounds
movie.
Heavy as F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's very heavy. And for 1959, for them to be talking about race like that and being very, there's some things that are pretty cringeworthy, by our standards. But we're talking how many years ago? 60 years ago?
Yeah, 60 years ago.
For that time, they're being pretty progressive about stuff.
Yeah. Well,
sounds
sounds very heavy.
It is. And I would love, talking about all these reboots and remakes, I'd love to see a remake of this one. Because of that, and also because it almost seems that they're almost trying to have like a homosexual subtext to it too. Like they might have a relationship together in that way, because they're a family unit. And at the very end, you can see that they were a family, the four of them.
Even with the cultural shift we've seen, it might be easier to push that out there.
Yeah, and I even think at the time that was kind of maybe what they were going for, because there's a man in the story too, and he's a little bit of a love interest to Lana Turner, and then her daughter ends up like kind of liking him too and thinking she has a chance with him, but like he's doesn't really matter all that much. So I always kind of thought like,
sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Douglas Sirk is one of my favorite filmmakers. I don't think I've seen any. I haven't seen all of his movies. I don't think I've seen anything he's done I didn't absolutely just blow me away. But visually too, that movie and the acting, and then the high melodrama. I'm
gonna have to find this one and steal it.
Oh yeah, yeah, steal it, steal it. It'll make you cry too. At least at the end you'll cry. At least once at the end.
I don't need to cry anymore.
Well,
I've cried enough.
Watch it when you need a good cry. You'll feel like really satisfied after.
All right, well, here's one. Speaking of cries.
Uh-oh.
Helen Hunt. She played Carol Connolly in As Good as It Gets.
Oh, yeah.
Another movie that when I was younger, I had it in rotation. And again, I guess you'd call it a chick flick.
Is it?
I don't know. That one really kind of blurs the lines. Jack Nicholson's in it, and he's intense. He is so intense in that movie.
Mean.
He's so damn mean.
I love him in that, though.
But, Helen Hunt's another one of those actresses for me, too. She's just got there's a lot of honesty in her delivery, too, I think. And I love her, especially in this movie. I mean, it's probably my favorite movie I've ever seen with Helen Hunt in it. And to watch what she goes through, like the struggles she has as a mother, and to watch all these characters work together, it's it's kind of a complicated story. You really only have 3 key players in the story, but all 3 of them have very complicated lives.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that it's a pretty brilliantly written script, in my opinion, because there's a lot of stuff that they have to navigate to get these people where they want to go, right? And to watch how these people also transform. And like you said, Jack Nicholson, where he starts at in that movie and where he ends up. It took a lot of work to get there, I think. And Helen Hunt, she obviously was a big part in that. Jack Nicholson, there's some intense scenes in that movie. Because Carol Connolly, let's just say the character, she's a waitress at the restaurant
that's right,
that Jack Nicholson go to. Of course, I forget his character's name, but
Melvin Udall.
Thank you. He's a writer. I work all the time. It's just insane. And he's very racist. He's very homophobic also in this movie. And we get to see, this transformation in somebody, like when they're actually faced with someone that they are dealing with someone, they kind of, they learn. And I think a lot of people go through that too. I know I have. Growing up.
Yeah.
So like watching like a scene, for example, in the restaurant I mentioned, where he just makes stupid comments. Like he's very impulsive. He obviously, this is the movie that made me realize, I hate to say this, made me realize I had elements of obsessive compulsive disorder. This is the movie, it's who I am. I'm going to be that. No, it's when I watched that movie, I watched the
Own it, my friend.
I watched the movie, the things that Jack Nicholson's character, what Melvin was doing when he come into his apartment, have to turn the key 3 times and only use a bar of soap for each hand wash. There's all these little things. And he also had a very strict way of ordering his food. But he also had these impulsive things where he would just say stupid things, right? And there's a couple scenes where Carol calls him on it. And there is that scene, like, if you ever say anything about my son ever again, you won't be allowed to eat here. And, like, you just see him kind of go, he made the comment and he knew he messed up. You see his face sink. And you see her just kind of go, and then she just lays into him and says some things we can't say on the show anymore. So, that is a really complicated story. Carol Connolly is a really complicated character also. Trying to, living with her mother, she had all these plans, and, you find out, like, she had all these plans with her life, but then she got pregnant.
Right.
That changed everything, right? So it's a really great story. If you haven't seen As Good as It Gets, it's a classic. It is a classic now. Classic Jack Nicholson, like, classic Jack Nicholson in his element, being a complete maniac.
Well, this had like Cuba Gooding Jr. and Greg Kinnear.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Happy.
This movie was.
My grandma's got more attitude than you. Yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr. was awesome in that movie. Yeah, there's just so much about
this
movie.
This was really like the beginning of Greg Kinnear kind of coming out of the stuff. Like he was mostly like a talk show host almost.
He was the
Talk
the
Soup.
Yeah.
You talk about tearjerker, like after he got mugged.
Oh yeah,
and he just looks in the mirror at himself. He's like, "Where did I go?" Like his face was so messed up.
Yeah.
And he's like that line, like, "Where did I go?" I was like, if you don't go, oh my God, that's so painful to see someone go through that. It's a movie that has a lot of jerks around like that, where you think things are gonna let up, and then you're like, oh, something bad happened again. Damn it. So I can't say enough good things about Helen Hunt's delivery. Man, what a cool flick. And it's great. It's a great coming of age type thing for people who are older. I mean, these are older people, and they still have a lot of growing to do, and you kind of get to see them grow.
Well, it's cool to show that someone can, and someone would be willing, and they can.
Yeah.
It's like you never stop. You never stop learning. You never stop changing.
Yeah, and that's
unless you want to.
That's what this movie really puts on display, I think. So, yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen As Good as It Gets, do you like movies? I don't,
Yeah, this is one. I mean, this is one you can watch multiple times. Too.
yeah,
Totally.
I have. Oh my god.
Me too. Yeah. I feel
So-
like they used to play it on TV all the time.
All the
Oh
time.
yeah.
So,
All right, what now?
The next month,
What ridiculous idea are you going to have for this topic now?
I have another ridiculous one, but I'm
course.
gonna go more square with
Give
this
us our
one.
sweet one.
I'm gonna go with Catherine O'Hara as Kate in the first Home Alone movie.
Ah,
I don't really know that she's necessarily a good mom, but I think she's a very overwhelmed mom.
Yeah.
And she's got all the cousins there and all her kids there and all the troubles going on, and they're getting ready to leave for the trip.
distractions.
And she accidentally leaves Kevin at home. Wouldn't really happen. It's so unrealistic, especially in this day
I'm
and
sure it
age.
has happened.
There would be text messages and emails and phone calls in Twitter and whatever. Mom, you left me at home. Come back and get me.
Yeah.
But there's such a good core to her. You know, I just think she's a really strong character in the movie. I think she's almost as important as Kevin. She goes through anything and everything, which any good parent would do to get back to their kid. I just don't know if they would leave their child in the first place.
Yeah,
Well, it's a ridiculous premise.
it is.
It is. But I really like Catherine O'Hara in general. She has a really good comedic timing, and she's always very heartfelt with everything she does.
Her delivery is just you can't top it.
When she finally gets home to Kevin, the connection between the two of them, when they're like looking at each other when she's home, like that feels very real. Of, I missed you. I'm sorry I left you at home.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's not going to happen again. You know, and then everybody else comes home too. But I think this was a really strong character point for both of them. And I just, when you watch that movie, you really feel like Kevin and his mom have that son and mom, like best friend kind of relationship. So I love her character in this movie. And again, she's played similar characters in the past, but I think this is one of the strong points for her. So that is my next mom.
Yeah, you know what? And I that's why I queued up my phone, and I'm not being rude.
Oh, no, I know.
Catherine O'Hara, and I didn't want, the reason I wanted to look here because, oh my God. Didn't she play, oh, I feel dumb now doing this on the air like this, but she was not in Beetlejuice, was she?
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
She's the mom. Well,
She was
the stepmom.
Stepmom in
Stepmom,
Beetlejuice.
yes.
That's what made me think about that.
Yeah.
She was
Delia.
no, and I may be thinking of somebody else for the ref. Is that Catherine O'Hara also, or is that somebody else?
Ref.
The ref.
I can tell you right
I
now.
think that's someone else.
So yeah, look that up, Chris, because you got the fast.
I think that was Judy Davis. And
Yeah, you know what? I'm mixing those two up.
Yeah.
They look a bit alike. I mean, not alike, but they look similar. But yeah, she was the stepmom though in Beetlejuice, which is, and it's kind of off. You know, it's kind of another offshoot of that. The failure of even being a stepmom.
Yeah.
She completely just zoned out on sleeping pills and drinking. Kind of just being an artist. Just
Right.
total quack. We know how Beetlejuice ends up, which is another fantastic. Did they?
It's a great movie.
The ginger's kicking in.
You can make it.
They weren't rebooting that. I heard they were going to try to.
No, they were
gonna
going to
do a
They were going to do a
sequel?
sequel, but it's not happening.
Thank God.
Weren't they
Leave
going to
it
do a
alone.
Broadway musical too?
Something.
Did I hear
cool.
something about that?
That'd be
But
alright.
there was
Yeah.
Tim Burton actually came out right after Dumbo a few weeks ago and said, "We tried, we just can't put it back together. It's just stop putting it out there that
You
there's
don't
going
need it, really.
We don't need it. Some of the just leave it as a one-off. Beetlejuice, it started, it ended, it's good.
Yeah.
They lived happily
Yeah.
ever after.
You got
Yeah.
the cartoon.
Yeah. But it just made me think. I know she was in Beetlejuice also, but she kind of the opposite of that. Just very self-centered. Doesn't really care about the child. An opposite of like the character from Home Alone in a certain way. Anyways, Mara, what do you got?
Okay. Now I want to talk about Divine as a mom in general.
Oh my God.
Because she's played a mom, or he has played a mom in so many John Waters movies. A bad mom, horrible mom, and Female Trouble, where she just, treats her daughter like crap. She, completely neglects her and denies even wanting to be a mom because she's got to have her life of crime and beauty and everything.
Yeah.
And then she's in Pink Flamingos as a mom. I don't know if I wouldn't call her a bad mom. I mean, she does what she's got to do for her kids.
Yeah.
And she's got she's her one son. And then I especially love that one because she also lives with her mom, Edie, the egg lady.
Yeah.
So it's a very mom-centered story. And it's, even though they're trying to be the most filthiest people alive and they're nasty and they do horrible things, they're all good with each other. And they're, she's a good mom.
Yeah.
She provides. And I would say one of the biggest, and then her last two roles, Polyester, that's the one where she really plays the mom and has to deal with just a lot of bad stuff that happens to her. Her husband runs a porno theater that everyone gets, she's the talk of town about that. Her daughter's like the town tramp. Her son's the Baltimore foot stomper. He goes around and stomps on ladies' feet. Oh. And, she ends up meeting...
what a horrific criminal.
Yeah. It's really funny. And she ends up meeting Tab Hunter. Oops. Rubbernecking at a car accident. And, he's maybe make her whole life better and everything. And it's just great. If you haven't seen that one, go and see it, especially because if you watch something like Imitation of Life, Polyester is kind of like the perfect... I don't want to call it like a parody of it because I think there's a little bit of sincerity to it, but it is very, it's melodramatic. It's got a lot of the elements that those old, women's pictures from the 50s do. It's one of the best ones. And then her final role is in Hairspray. She plays Ricky Lake's mom in that one. And she's an important part of that movie because she's very straight-laced and strict at the beginning of that movie, and that movie is pretty much about segregation or the ending of segregation. So she kind of is this like straight-laced, nervous person and doesn't really want her daughter to do anything.
It kind of breaks her own mold towards the end.
Yeah, and becomes more loose and proud of her daughter and supportive of her dancing on the colored night that they had. And
I will say this, I love John Travolta in that role in the remake. That remake is actually really good.
Yeah,
it really, really is.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Scott,
I got one I'm going to throw at you guys. It's a bit different.
Okay.
Terry Garr is Caroline Butler and Mr. Mom. And Michael Keaton also. Oh, did you have it on your list too?
I was going to say Michael Keaton as Mr. Mom.
Well, yeah, I mean, both those characters.
Yeah.
I mean, Terry Garr and Michael Keaton. I mean, obviously, it's another classic. If you haven't seen Mr. Mom, come on, really, you don't
I
like
surprisingly
movies.
haven't seen that
Oh
one.
my God.
Maybe if I did, I saw it like forever ago.
It
has not aged very well.
No.
Probably, yeah.
But that movie, I mean, I love the message of the movie. And it was during a time where, I remember there was this, and it still is a discussion, I think now, but it's a different era too, where there was this movement where, look, being a mother is just as hard as being the breadwinner also.
Yes.
There was this thing this movement that started happening at the time. And it may have been because of Mr. Mom, and this movie may have had a part in that movement where, look, being a parent or, being the stay-at-home mother is very difficult. And we see Michael Keaton's character lose his job and be at home. Mm-hmm. And Terry Garr, Caroline Butler, goes to work. She leaves, right? And you get to see all this hilarity. It's a comedy, obviously. But we get to see all this hilarity because he's never dealt with these things before. But it's also another.
He's never used a vacuum before.
Yeah. Which I'm like, okay, that's a little fantastical too. I mean,
but
okay, fine. But it's a great coming of age thing to see him grow into that lifestyle, right? Where and that's where you get to see kind of like this beautiful montage of things happen. Where like the first 45 minutes of the movie, he's a complete failure around the house. He's blowing stuff up. It's a total mess. Caroline's coming home from work, and she's like, "What is going on here?" But then you see him grow into it. You're going the wrong way. To the left for out or whatever, that whole thing. You see him grow into that. He becomes one of the parking guards. You see all these great little things happen through the movie. And he grows. He just kind of grows into that character. So it's kind of a cool like back and forth thing where Mr. Mom, obviously, as the title alludes, he grows into this character, and he becomes a great stay-at-home parent himself. The roles were totally reversed, and at that time, that was not really heard of. Like that idea was not really. Now it's it's common. Couples, it's just kind of fluid. You do whatever. Whoever wants to be the breadwinner. Sometimes both of them are. Who knows, right? It's much different now, but back then, this was kind of a radical idea. And it was done great as far as comedy. Michael Keaton, this is the movie I think that really kind of maybe put him over.
It did. This is what pushed him out there.
Yeah. So check it out. Mr. Mom was a great flick. It was a lot of fun to watch, and coming of age type movie. Seeing someone grow into a role like that they had no idea how to do things. 220 is that a 220? 220. 210, whatever. 210, 220, whatever it takes. I mean, that's a classic line. So check it out. Grows the beard out, the flannel.
Yeah. He goes all out.
This beard's a metamorphosis, man. In a couple months, it's going to look great. Just so many great lines in that movie. So check it out. You'll like Mr. Mom. All
right. I'm going to go with another excellent mom. Switching up genres again. Jo Beth Williams as Diane Freeling.
Right on my list.
Poltergeist.
I'm glad I was going to pick that one, and I'm glad I didn't. But it has to be said.
It has to be said. I mean, this, again, it's the same as like Catherine O'Hara in Home Alone. Jo Beth Williams in Poltergeist.
Dude.
She is so good-hearted and so sweet, and all she cares about is protecting her kids.
They put her through hell, too.
Yeah.
They put her through hell.
To film that. Oh, my God.
I know.
She had to do. Oh, my God.
I mean,
really?
that...
Well, I mean, I guess I thought...
The breakdown she has in the middle, like when they get Carol Ann back, that's all real.
Yeah.
I've actually read stuff about that.
Yeah.
That she was actually like at the end of her rope mentally. They put her through the ringer for that movie.
Yeah.
This is like the definition of a great mom in a movie.
One example, not to cut you off, but one example like that, what made her break like that was like the pool scene when they were. That's part of the project, is they had a pool project going in the backyard. When they throw her in there, they didn't tell her.
I was screaming when I just saw that movie for the first time, like recently. So
really?
Yeah.
They didn't tell her those things were going to be in the pool, the skeletons and stuff. They didn't tell. They just dumped her in there and said, action, and they went after it. And her acting all hysterical.
You could tell.
And
it's real.
It's very real. Her reactions are very authentic in that. But what's there to say? I mean, what hasn't been said?
It's it's a great example. Again, this kind of falls back to that 80s thing. Hardworking dad buying this new house, mom staying at home taking care of the kids. It kind of fits in line with the standard of what we've always known. It was
an American dream. Total family.
Yeah, the nuclear family.
The nuclear family.
Doing so well, they're going to get a pool.
Right. We're doing so well, we're going to get a pool. Little do we know that our house has been built on a burial ground.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But again, the thing she puts herself through in this movie to get Carol Ann back, it's a true testament to what a real mother most mothers would do to get their child back, even at the cost of her own life against this crazy paranormal thing that's going on in their house.
They don't understand.
They don't even know.
And that's what makes this thing so, so hard to watch, not in a bad way though, is that we're talking about forces that no one really understands, right? and for her just to throw herself into it, literally throw herself into it selflessly for nothing else but to get her child back, to make sure her child was safe. That's what makes that movie so important, I think, is just, this isn't some, some creeper that went and kidnapped her daughter. These are forces they don't even know about. They don't understand.
She's going into the other side.
The other world, yeah.
The other world to bring her daughter back.
It was almost like a weird, like, metaphorical, like, birthing in it of itself, because she had the thing, like, tied around her, and she was all goopy, so it was like she had an umbilical cord.
And, like, afterbirth, the ectoplasm and all that
stuff. Yeah.
So it was like she had to, like, give birth again, or like give birth to herself to get her. It's interesting.
I really think that was an analogy too.
Oh yeah, of course.
A total analogy.
Of course.
Because that, what they used for that was just so viscous, and it had like a red pinkish hue to it after birth. So it did have that look. And I remember just, this is another one of those ones we got to see in the theater. We were spoiled rotten. And that really just was, I don't know if it wasn't gross. It didn't gross you out, but it disturbed you. Like, what the hell? Where was she at?
Yeah, you're like, what is that?
What membrane did she go through, or what is that? And I know it's ectoplasm. It's a scary ghost. It's ectoplasm.
Yeah, but
that don't exist. But okay, they call it ectoplasm, right? Yeah. What the hell is it? What is it? And that's what we were all going, oh my God. Visually, this movie was, really set the standard too. There were some things we saw in this movie that just were like never seen before. The thing that came out of the wall, never seen anything like that. And you'll never reproduce something that cool looking. But that character,
I just want to give it up to JoBeth Williams.
Amazing.
That is an amazing
Craig T. Nelson was great too.
Yeah.
As a father, I know Father's Day is coming up. Maybe we'll have
we can talk about him on Father's Day.
You moved the stones, but you didn't move the bodies. He's freaking out, dude. Yeah,
he's always great.
JoBeth Williams, totally behind that.
All right, Mara, what you got?
All right. We talked about Faye Dunaway playing Joan Crawford. Now I want to talk about Joan Crawford herself in Straight Jacket. That's a William Castle movie, if you guys know who he is. That was kind of after his gimmicks, I guess, unless you want to count using Joan Crawford as a gimmick.
Because she was kind of a walking gimmick.
At that point, yeah. I mean, she had, no, I think it was before. I can't remember if I think that was after Baby Jane, whatever happened to Baby Jane.
She started doing a lot of the same kind of freak out roles.
Well...
Right?
No, I mean, not really. She just did she did horror. And that was with a lot of women her age at that time. That's all they really could get, all those actresses, once they got a certain age. It was like, you got to do the scary old lady thing. So that's one of these where she supposedly had axe murdered her husband, chopped his head off with an axe because he was cheating. And went away.
Sounds reasonable.
Of course, as you do, right?
As you do.
And she was put away in a mental home, I guess, or hospital, whatever it was, so gently put in the 60s. And she comes back. Her daughter is a teenager, young adult, and trying to gets like acclimated to having a real life. But of course, she's unhinged and very just like not normal, and weird things happen. And is she crazy? Is she not? Gotta watch the movie to find out. Yeah. But I mean, Joan Crawford again. I mean, not again, but actually her as an actress. Yeah, playing this like kind of crazy, kind of confused, someone who hasn't been in general population and public for 20 years, she did it really good, that combination of vulnerable, but you're still kind of scared of her. And
I'd be scared of her.
Yeah. And she probably was actually drunk like the whole time, and she filmed it, so probably
like I am right now.
Oh, I came here hammered.
Oh, yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm high on life, guys.
Well, that's good. It's good to be that way.
We cannot do a show like this without mentioning Cher.
Oh, yeah.
Rusty Dennis.
Rocky.
Mask. No,
Rocky Dennis.
Rocky Dennis was the kid, Eric Stoltz. Rusty Dennis.
Okay.
Rusty, and that.
Oh, sorry, gotcha.
Yeah, Rusty Dennis. She had another name. There was another name for her too. When I was looking at IMDb, I just threw Rusty Dennis down. This is a complicated role, I think, as far as her character is concerned too, with what based on a true story, Mask. Rocky Dennis, the story of Rocky Dennis. And this, to me, was very interesting because Rocky Dennis, I know at the time when this movie came out, Eric Stoltz played the role of Rocky Dennis. The makeup work they did on him was like really a big deal. Like that was a real big deal. They made it look so good for what he actually had. This is another one of those, type of struggle films. And, I think the reason this movie was so powerful at the time and still is I think a lot of people identified with it too. Maybe people not with, the extreme of an ailment that Rocky Dennis had, but people just, felt out of place. Maybe they felt like they were too fat or too thin or they didn't look right. Growing up, kids are always awkward looking. I see kids now, and now I'm an old man, and I see kids, and I can tell awkward kids.
Oh, yeah.
I see them, all over the place.
I have an awkward kid.
Yeah, they grow into what they're going to grow into, but it's awkwardness. So I think people could identify with this character, Rocky Dennis. I also thought, Cher, now going back to her role, a single mother, having he wasn't a special needs child necessarily. He was a perfectly functioning kid.
Oh, yeah.
He just had, they call it, he said it, lionitis, the look of the lion. He would joke around and stuff like that. But Cher's role in this movie, she was a biker chick, basically. And that's where I thought things were kind of interesting because Sam Elliott's in this movie too.
Gar.
Yeah, Gar. He plays her boyfriend. I knew that was going to happen.
Whoops, sorry.
You broke it. You
I
broke
forgot
the show.
To mute that. Yeah,
you broke
all
the
right.
show. Anyway,
the
Sam,
first time I've ever forgotten that.
There's a really, really unique scene in the movie that always sticks with me. Is like they're at the carnival, and they're going to do the bumper cars, and they come up on there, and the carny guy looks at he's like, I can't be responsible for the retard because he doesn't know. And Gar, Sam Elliott, he's like, I'm not going to be responsible for you. And then. Okay, and they all got on there and they had the time of their lives, right? We saw this character though, and it's a struggle with Cher's character with Rusty Dennis, trying to let her know her kid's loved and that he has a life ahead of him. And you see this unfortunate metamorphosis of a child, this child, where he starts out like happy-go-lucky. The story, he's just living his life, but then he falls in love, right? And through that, he realizes that he really is different. Like when he tries to do this thing, Shannon Dern's in the movie. I love you, Shannon. Call me. He realizes that, and his friend leaves. He has a friend that he has plans with to do a bike trip. There's all these little things, and they all start falling apart around him, and it makes him angry. So unfortunately, the movie, it's a downer of a flick. It's a total tearjerker. It sucks. And yeah, at the end when, the tack board with all the places he wanted to buy a motorcycle with his friend and ride.
Kathmandu.
Yeah, and do a bike, do the trip, that when he does die, he just ultimately just passed away. That's where you see the tack. She's like, now you can go anywhere you want. And it's like that. It's all over. I'm on the floor dying, rolling around, crying. Yeah. But Cher really knocked it out of the ballpark. It's just this very, trying to, you can tell there's always this jitter about her, that she's trying to keep it together for her kid, but she's also trying to she also has a hard life. She's a hard, I don't know what a biker babe. I don't know any nice way to say it.
She's a partier.
She's a partier.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it.
But there's love there. Like the gang, like the bikers there, they back him up. Like that's their boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a cool, these guys are like, no, you're our brother too. So they back him up.
Yeah.
So it's a big family basically, but unrelated. Cher, I thought, was just amazing in that movie though. Just her delivery.
She's always good. She was always good in those dramatic roles. Now she's kind of, fallen off a little bit with that.
Yeah. That movie was another, I think that was one of those ones also that kind of put her over as an actress too. That movie Mask, because it was such a huge movie when it came out. Just because just how unique it was and how Eric Stoltz looked, the makeup work they did, it really kind of was shocking for people.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the Elephant Man. You remember watching the Elephant Man for the first time? I mean, I'm not trying to. I mean, I'm sorry, it's the same thing. Remember seeing the Elephant Man the first time?
Yeah.
And the first thing you see, you walk in there is like this monster, and it scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. Scared the hell out of me. But then I watched the movie and watched how beautiful this man, John. Oh my God, John Merrick. Thank you very much. How beautiful this man was, and how other people found out how beautiful he was too,
right?
And how much respect he did get from the right people, not
and
the
how
wrong
intelligent
people,
he
and
was,
how intelligent he was, and how articulate he was too. And the same thing for Rocky Dennis. He was this beautiful person. Unfortunately, but he passed away. That's what life beats you down like that sometimes. All right, getting too deep. Move along.
All right. All right, we're going to be wrapping this up in a few minutes, so I'll power through this one.
All right.
Sarah Connor.
Yeah, Linda Hamilton, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on my list too.
Talk about an awesome mom. I mean, she takes up weapons to protect her son from Judgment Day and the Terminator.
Yeah.
It's just, they're cool flicks. They really are. I like Linda Hamilton. I think it's too bad she doesn't do more. It's going to be cool seeing her back in the new Terminator movie
I'm excited
that they're putting out. I think it's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But
totally.
she was the same thing, protect your son at all costs. But she's not just protecting her son. She's trying to protect the planet.
Yeah, she's trying to save the future.
She's trying to save the future, too. Yeah. So, I mean, she's like the mother of the world.
She's got a real cool journey too, because she's so different in the beginning of Terminator than she is in Terminator 2.
She goes from being
she's
very
kicking everyone's behinds.
Yeah, because in the first one she's very innocent, doesn't really understand what's going on, and then by the second one she's physically fit. She's gone through all this training and is ready to kick some booties. I didn't say it. But yeah, so I'm going to go with Sarah Connor.
Going back to Mask for a minute, look on your, let's double check this, because I'm sorry to do this in the middle of the show, but
I don't care.
Look up Eric Stoltz on there, what it says for his character, because when I cranked out my list today, I just want to verify I was giving the right name out and not made a complete fool of myself.
He was Eric Stoltz, played Rocky Dennis.
Oh, yeah, and then Cher played Rusty Dennis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
You're good.
Moving along.
You're good.
Mara.
So, yeah, I'm going with Sarah Connor from the Terminator series. Mara,
awesome.
Hit it.
Yeah.
Back to Cher. Mermaids.
Oh yeah.
I think I saw that a long time ago.
It's okay. I really remembered liking that one as a kid. I just rewatched it the other day, and because it was on Hulu, and I was like, I remember that being a really good mom movie. I'm gonna watch that. It's on Hulu, and it was not as good of like a plot as I remember.
Yeah.
It's based on a book. I kind of feel like stuff is missing. I want to read the book now, but Cher, she sells it. She really sells it. Again, just her delivery, her passion. She really sells that character of being a single mom. She's got pregnant, I guess, when she was young, and she's has two kids from two different men, and she has this history of just moving from town to town every time something gets embarrassing or too much for her, and eventually
she's kind of transient.
Yeah, and now it's like her daughter is the same age she was when she got pregnant, and she's dealing with these emotions of having a crush on a boy, of being at school in a new place, and
Danny DeVito's in that movie, isn't he?
Bob
Hoskins.
Yeah, he's great in that too.
Winona Ryder and Christina Ricci.
I thought Danny DeVito was in that.
Nope.
Okay, I'm thinking of something else. I'm sorry.
You better be sorry.
Jeez, oh Pete.
But
Ginger.
She's embarrassed. Winona Ryder is embarrassed to share because wears a lot of makeup. She wears tight dresses. She's fancy, and just footloose and fancy free, and Winona Ryder's wants to be Catholic, and she's just embarrassed and pushes her away, and she has problems, and the whole time her mom's kind of like, open up to me. I'm the only one you have. You can talk to me, and eventually she sees that they're, they have each other, and that they're, she can talk to her, and they're the same, but she's got to go through all this stuff on her own, and it's interesting movie. It's interesting. The relationships are good, and Cher's great, and really that's what makes it good. Other than that, it's not that good though. But as far as like moms, and you bring up Cher, it's like, yeah, totally. She's cool. It's like she's one of those things where it's
cool
like,
mom.
yeah, it's like, wow, you're angry because your mom's cooler than you. Like that's what I kept thinking the whole time. Like Winona Ryder's character's got the voiceover, and the whole time I'm like, you're lame. Your mom's cool. You got to listen to her.
Yeah.
You're out stealing stuff, Winona.
Yeah.
Well, one more and we'll call it a night.
Yeah, you got one, Scott.
Uma Thurman, the bride, Kill Bill.
Oh yeah.
A subtle role. I mean, I would say it's a subtle. Well, it's obvious that she's. We find out. In part 2, I think that she's actually a mother. You realize if you watch part 1, you see what she goes through, and you think part 1, this is just a revenge thing. She just wants revenge. But then in part 2, you see, there's actually 2 motivations here. She, of course, wants revenge for what these people have done to her, but she also wants her baby. She wants her child, right? And that's what, Bill took her child. So, it's funny to watch that now. I mean, even when I watched it for the first time, I mean, Uma Thurman plays literally the ultimate badass. I mean, there's not really much that's in her way. She removes any obstacle, and that's what this whole thing was about, was one obstacle after another. One of the things that, Hattori Hanzo says is like, revenge is not a straight road. There's a lot of curves in it, right? And that's what you see is her going over each obstacle to get to Bill. And that's why the ending scene is just the last act of the movie. If I know you've seen it, Chris,
multiple times.
The last act of the scene. I mean, if you didn't have your heart blow out of your chest when she comes in there just to kill Bill, and bang bang, got you, mommy. You're like, what the hell, Because you didn't know. You didn't know until the end. There's that little thing in the beginning of part 2 where it's like, Bill, it's your, because she was obviously pregnant.
Yes.
And that whole story and whatnot. It's confusing because it's a goddamn Quentin Tarantino film. Crap, should have said that. Sorry. It's a GD.
That's fine.
Quentin Tarantino film. So it's confusing. But you see, at the end, you realize what she went through to get there.
Her journey.
And that's where you see her laying on the bathroom floor in the hotel crying, going, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's where she ends up, it's her and her baby. Someday there's going to be a sequel to that, because
I hope so.
There was a big wide open thing from was it Copperhead?
Yes.
Her daughter, Nikita. Yeah,
that the daughters will eventually.
Yeah, they've talked about that, like the daughter.
That the vengeance will continue.
Yeah, it'll keep going. So that was a glaring, wide open, thing for a sequel. But yeah, that's a mother. That's a mother. I want my baby back. The lioness is reunited with her cub. I think that's kind of what they said at the end. That may have been she's been reunited with her cub. So yeah, that movie went from this brutal, top of the line, like gory, brutal movie, to where it ends with, this is just a mother wanting to get her child. Simple as that, right? And I thought that was a really heavy idea that, and that, as far as movie moms, it's like, whoa, okay, Uma Thurman. That's the mommy.
Yes. Mommy.
So yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, moms.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. Do something nice for your mom.
Yeah.
I plant a garden for my mom every year. That's like my thing we do now is I plant flowers for her. I can buy all the flowers and do that thing.
Aww.
I don't know what other people do, but that's kind of my thing.
That's
we do.
Sweet.
And hang out on the porch.
I usually cook.
Coffee.
That's sweet.
Cook?
Yeah. I usually either buy them dinner or cook them dinner, or, we do something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My wife likes to actually go do something on Mother's Day instead of hanging out at home. Mm-hmm. So,
see, I don't get this stuff. Ladies, mothers, it's your day. Don't do anything.
Just relax.
Yeah.
Let everybody else do something for you.
Exactly.
Don't turn it into a big three-act adventure. Just chill out.
And stop giving birth to Xeno babies.
Yeah, stop that too.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Visit us at www.themoviesleuth.com and find The Movie Sleuth on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and iTunes.